Otherwise known as Slasher the Complex, or Nightmare at Shadow Woods, this horror movie has become something of a Thanksgiving cult favorite among horror fans. I mean, come on, it's either this or Thanksgiving. Two twins are involved in a murder mix-up that results in the wrong brother being institutionalized. Years later, the locked-up twin escapes while the other goes on a killing spree. This is my review of Blood Rage. Well, there's your problem right there. We're in fucking Florida. And here we have a 19-year-old Sam Raimi in his first film appearance. You know what? That checks out. In this drive-in, we're introduced to Maddie, played by Louise Lasser, her date, played by Bill Cackmus, and her twin boys, Terry and Todd, played by Keith and Russell Hall.
Mom said it again.
Again? Wait, what? I guess Maddie's proclivity to fool around warrants Terry axing a guy in the face, and blaming his brother. A decade later, Todd, now played by Mark Soper, is in an asylum where Maddie visits him for Thanksgiving. Dr. Berman, played by Marion Cantor, provides some voiceover, explaining that Todd has started to remember what had happened all those years ago, and this is the first time Maddie is seeing Todd since he was brought here. And the Mother of the Year award goes to someone other than her. Even though Todd pleads his innocence and that Terry, also played by Mark Soper, is the real murderer, Maddie refuses to believe this. I see mental instability runs laps in this family.
We're gonna tie the knot.
Turns out Maddie's news of the engagement to Brad, played by the late William Fuller, sets Terry right off. In addition to that, Todd has escaped the asylum and is most likely on his way back home. All you want is a nice Thanksgiving dinner with your family and friends, and your psychotic relative escapes the asylum. Plot twist, the psycho is sitting right at the table stuffing his face with green beans and whole milk. And let's be honest, drinking whole milk like that is a pretty big red flag. After dinner, Dr. Berman arrives with Jackie, played by Douglas Weiser, to search for Todd. While Brad waits in his office, Terry pulls a Voorhees and chops Brad's hand off. He then finds Jackie on one of the back porches getting high. After Jackie lets it slip that Dr. Berman suspects that Todd did not commit the murder all those years ago, Terry kills Jackie. That was the gayest sounding penetration I have ever heard. Nobody can judge. We've all been there. Meanwhile, Terry isn't wasting any time in adding to his body count by cutting Dr. Berman in half. Afterward, he goes to visit Andrea, played by Lisa Randall, while Karen, played by Julie Gordon, runs into Todd. She alerts Artie, played by James Farrell, and Greg, played by Chad Montgomery, about Todd's presence at Shadow Woods, and they inform Terry, who then tells Maddie that his twin has returned. I'm not gonna lie, Todd's method of getting this little girl, played by Dana Drescher, to go home for her safety is probably the least creepy interaction I've seen in this movie. Terry returns to the home of Julie, played by Jane Benson, whom Andrea was babysitting for, and kills her and her date Bill, played by Ed French. At the same time, Todd breaks into his old room and carries his drunk-off-her-ass mother to bed. All the while, Maddie assumes he's Terry. Greg and Andrea are playing a little night tennis. No, that's not a euphemism. Before they sit naked by the poolside. Now that is a euphemism. Unfortunately, Terry kills them. During this time, Maddie has drunk more wine, taken a shower, and has reconsidered the kind of movie that she signed up for, and is now having a meltdown over the phone with the operator. Terry catches up with Karen and Artie and sends Artie off so he can have a little foreplay with Karen. However, Todd catches Artie by surprise and tries to reason with him that Terry is the murderous one. Todd has the chance to shoot Terry, but doesn't and runs off. When Artie and Terry run after him, Terry kills Artie. When Karen comes across Terry and his bloody machete, he tries to kill her, too. She runs around the complex until she gets into Julie's house, where Terry corners her. She escapes with Julie's baby to the pool house. Maddie happens to come across Terry's discarded, bloody shirt, and this prompts her to go to Brad's office, because all those times that she tried to call, had the operator try to call, and insisted that Terry find Brad, wasn't enough of a push for her to go check on him herself, apparently. You know, Terry's pursuit of Karen has to be one of the most laxed I've ever seen. Todd finally shows up with the gun, but can't shoot his brother. So Karen tries, but unfortunately, Dr. Berman forgot to load bullets into the thing. Interestingly enough, while Todd doesn't fare too well in the aggressive pool fight, Maddie does pretty well in shooting holes in Terry, despite her blood alcohol level being beyond the legal limit. It seems like a pretty heartfelt reunion and apology between Maddie and Todd, until Maddie reveals that she thinks she shot Todd. And with that terribly optimistic plot twist, the credits roll. I think this is a pretty serviceable slasher film. It provides the violence and gore that's expected. The kills aren't terribly interesting or creative, but the effects are decent. I think the most impressive is probably Brad's halved skull. Mark Soper, while not the best actor in the film, at least had fun with the character of Terry. The twins were easy to tell apart for more than just slight differences in appearance, and it's not hard to feel genuine sympathy for Todd. The score, composed by Richard Einhorn, isn't bad at all. Unfortunately, the main theme is used over and over again, so it kind of loses enjoyment after a while. The plot is quite shallow, but as I've said before, that's kind of expected with a lot of 80s slasher films. Don't get me wrong, there is a story here. It's just not terribly well fleshed out. The characters don't have much depth or substance to engage with. For instance, Karen. She's our final girl, she's also Terry's love interest. That's about it. I think the character with the most depth and thought is Maddie, but she's not given very much to do. She's absent for a majority of the major events throughout the film, as well as being absent from sobriety. These characters are incredibly dense. Maddie takes forever to try to find Brad herself, when she knows that something is wrong. Dr. Berman suspects that Terry is the actual killer, but doesn't do a damn thing about it, etc., etc. Shock and surprise, the consistency and attention to detail are severely lacking, to say the least. Please see the entire portion of the climax where Todd and Terry are in the same room. With all that being said, I'm giving Blood Rage 4 out of 10 bloody thumbs up. This movie provides a good bit of camp, but it's also pretty slow. It takes a while for Terry to start killing people, and on the subject, I feel the story lacked quite a lot. Something that could have given it a little bit more spice is allowing the viewer to try to figure out which twin is the actual murderer, and which one is the innocent one. But we're told right off the bat, so there is no mystery here. This film doesn't have a lot going for it in my eyes, but if all you really want is something that you can turn your brain off and enjoy the cheesiness of, this is a good pick. Personally, if you gave me a choice for Thanksgiving-themed horror between Thanksgiving and Blood Rage, I'd choose Blood Rage. I would recommend Blood Rage to cheesy 80s horror fans, gore hounds, and anyone who would like to see a family that's a touch more dysfunctional during Thanksgiving than their own. See you later. If you're looking for more Yuletide horror, then check out my reviews of these movies. Thank you to my patrons Michael Museo, Raiders AK, Bronson Wright Wolf, Sean Sheridan, Dianamo, and Angel Minx 88 for funding this review.